YouTube. Yep, that's right. Let's go over this Traxxas 3.3. This vehicle right here, this Traxxas 3.3 is fast. It's brutally fast, and next time we take it out, we're going to do a speed run test on it with my phone. I don't know if I figured a way to put it on there yet, but I'll figure. I need to get a GPS, man. It's just, you need this, you need that. I try to do with what I have as best I can. This hobby will break you if you let it, so utilize what you got, people. But this platform is extremely fast. This is faster than anything I've run out there before, any of the modified engines, any of it. But I just need a little bit longer stretch. I keep bouncing off of curbs. I do want to go over this thing. I mean, it's just no big deal. They're very durable. But that last time I hit, what I didn't notice is not only did it break this off, which I've repaired all that already, but it broke one of the front A-arms. So I looked at some aluminum front ones, some energy to stiffen it up, which could be good. But man, I'll be hitting too many curbs, man. So I think we're gonna go with RPM. They got them online for like 10-15 bucks for the front set. No big deal. I think RPM's the way to go on this. So the engine out, I want to inspect it. I want to inspect the rod and the bushing and the piston. It's had about 1.5 gallons run through this thing. Not a whole lot, but I do want to inspect it because it does have a modified crank, and this thing is turning at more RPMs. So we'll check it out. We'll let you guys know what we got. I also want to go ahead and bust open the Buku clutch here. And by the way, people ask me, I thought they're out of business. No, they are still in business. I'll put the links up here. You guys can check it out, man. They make great products. Go check them out. Buku clutches, B-U-K-U. But I want to open it up and see where we are. This is a 3-shoe composite with brass insert clutch. Adjustable. It's got adjustable springs, so we'll get into that as well. I do have the hot racing gears in here. I'm not going to we're not going to open the transmission up or anything, but this is the hot racing gear set there. You can see that. So we put those in last time, and it did very well on that last run. But it's just not enough room, man. This thing has so much speed to it. But anyway, so let me get things turned around a little bit. We'll get everything disassembled, and we'll take a look at the internals of this 3.3. We'll be right back. Go over exactly what we got on this thing. Watching a little Crucial RC. Unboxing the Pro Moto. Good stuff, man. Alright, so back to nitro here. Let's see what we got. There's where that brake is right there. So basically this thing is mostly stock, to be honest with you. We're running the stock 2055 servos. I've never changed them out. No reason to. They haven't acted up or given me any trouble. I am running the Traxxas 1200 milliamp nickel metal hydrate battery in here. I believe that's what it is, and flat pack will fit in there. I just do a little shrink tubing on it to keep it from getting messed, the wires getting jacked up. My connection there. So anyway, 3.4 carburetor, Traxxas 3.4 carb on there, and we'll pull that off in a minute. Robinson Racing spur gear with of course the Buku clutch. Now I'm running a Traxxas vented bell on here. It's stood up to the test pretty well. So here on the rear, here on the front, we got the these are Integy front C-hubs on here, and again we're going to exchange these for the RPMs. In the rear, I'm running the drag slash extended. These are extended 8mm rear hubs. They come in this pack right here. It comes with the fronts as well, but we're not using the fronts. And this is 17mm wheel hub, Traxxas part number 5853X. Again, extended hubs, 2 long hubs and 2 regular hubs for the front. So there you go. And of course the crank that's in here is drop-in power from RC Renew. Again, I'll put the links in there for this stuff, and we'll compare the modified crank to the stock crank. This is the stock crank that came out of it. And then again, the Buku clutch. We are running MIP Shiny CVDs, and what I do is I just take some shrink tubing and I heat shrink over so the pins don't back out if the set screws come loose. But these are the MIP Shiny CVDs. And then we have my custom made wheelie bar back here, which is basically the STRC drag slash wheelie bar, where I've custom made out of some fifth scale sway bar links a nice attachment for it here. So that's what we've done on that. And again, the hot racing gears in here, just installed those before the last run. They seem to work out really well. Not cheap, man. They're proud of those gears though. So underneath we have the Jado T6 7075 aluminum chassis, lightened chassis on there. Thought about going with RCR's extended chassis. They got some carbon fiber chassis, stuff like that. But we're just not going that far with it. So I'm fine with this chassis. Over here we got the carbon fiber brake pads, the dual slotted brake disc by Hot Racing as well. And then we're running a Novarossi 41015 on-road header with a TH Racing tuned pipe on there. In the rear also with the Traxxas drag slash hubs, we got the Traxxas rear carriers as well, aluminum carriers. And we are running a sealed back plate on this. So that's basically what we got on here. I'm running Traxxas electronics in here, Traxxas receiver, all the goodies right there. I can run telemetry if I want, but I removed all of that just because, you know, we just didn't feel like messing with it. And we did swap out the sway bar for a lighter sway bar here in the front. But again, I was thinking about doing aluminum A-arms here in the front, bottom A-arms, but I think we're just going to go, I think it makes more sense to stick with RPM on that. So I've had a blast with this thing. I haven't upgraded a whole lot of stuff. The shocks are still the same shocks, stock shocks on there. Thought about doing the aluminum ones, but these work just fine, and they're great. We may do a few extra things like that later on, but for now I think this is pretty well set. So those are the items that I do have on here. Battery is charged. So let me get this thing broken down. We'll get the engine out, we'll open it up, we'll take a look and see what the internals look like this far in the process of running. So that's where my high-speed needle is. We're buried in there pretty good. And my low-speed needle, we are just a tad out from flush on the low speed there. And you always want to adjust these out according to the barrel, not the actual ball end here, to the actual slide barrel in there. So alright people, right into this thing. So we'll take a look at the crank in a minute. It's an RCR modified crank. Let's talk about the TRX 3.3 first and foremost. The 3.3, it's a great little engine. A lot of people dog on it. It's not a pro race kit or anything like that. It's an RTR Traxxas engine, but it's a very powerful little engine, especially when you put some modifications into it. That's why Rick over at RB Mods used to do his 3.3, his Kangaroo, and all that type of stuff. And then you have a lot of drag racers that modify these things, including RC Renew, where I got this crank from. He does the complete mod on this thing as well, so check him out. I'll post his website on here for you guys. But the 3.3, basically less than 1 horsepower, 0.97 horsepower, but again, a very powerful engine. At its peak performance, it will run 25,000 to 40,000 RPMs, which is extreme for this little engine right here. So I'm telling you, this thing is powerful, man. With the 2-speed in this JATO, I don't have enough room out there where we run this thing. We're gonna have to find somewhere else to run it so we can really get to its potential and its speed. And I'm gonna strap my phone to it, and we'll do that here pretty soon. But everything looks pretty good. I've only run Bones Proof through this. I may have broke it in with Master Basher 20, I think, 2012. I break in a lot of engines with VP Master Basher just because it has a higher oil content. And then sometimes I'll put a little Marvel Mystery Oil in there as well, but only for the break-in. Then nothing but Bones Brew 30% in this. And the there is a little bit of corrosion on this crank, and I'll show you. I cleaned up most of it. It's very minor, but there is some, and really that's the only fuel that I've run through this thing. So I don't know, maybe just this metal is more conducive to moisture and corrosion, but it'll be all right. So basically, you know, again, an RTR engine, steel bearings. We might want to replace these bearings. In fact, I may even get another 3.3 and drop this crank in the brand new one. I mean, you could always do the rod in you know, that type of stuff. But you know, for the cost of these things in the trade-in, you get a pretty good deal. So anyway, we're gonna put this one back together. We're gonna keep running it and see where we're at. We'll see how much tolerances we have on the crank pin. And I did modify this pin as well. We cut the end of it off, ground it down, and polished it. I think I did a video on that. But and that's okay to do as long as you do it correctly, and you know, just make it nice and smooth, and don't go too far, that type of stuff. Make sure you smooth off the edges. The original one is like this. It's just a cast, looks cast crank. The pin, it's real easy to mill off of there. Anyway, here's the crank, and I'm gonna show y'all how I put this 1/8 scale pipe on here and everything. So I do use the original Traxxas gasket for their resonator pipe and header on there. So basically what I do on that to get that pipe and header on, and I'm going to clean all this up. This is the Novorossi 41015 on-road header. I had to mill the top of it some, as well as the bottom a little bit. But I mean, that's not going to affect anything. We also had to mill the bottom of the block, these fins right here. It turns out once I got everything on, I didn't have to do as much as I did. But again, as long as you do good clean work, then it's going to be okay. But basically I use 2 gaskets. The internal one, the black one, is a Pico gasket. They're made for the Pico engines. They're a little bit different. That's why you have a hard time when you use regular gaskets on those Picos like that, it's hard to get them to seal. You really got to work at it, or you got to use them. Dynamite, probably, other than the Pico ones, is the best gasket to use on those Pico engines. But a Pico gasket, and then a regular gasket on here as well, exhaust gasket. Everything seals up nicely. It's the same thing I do on my end bleed pipe there on the Techno. Got in the Techno with the Works B5. The coupler, I use two gaskets, but not a Pico one. I use 2 regular gaskets, and everything seals up good. And then again, the THS racing pipe. This has been a great little pipe. Been trying to maybe check into on-road Novorossi pipe, a 1/10 scale on-road Novorossi pipe, and see what we could do with that. But this has been a good setup right here. It's got a lot of airflow. So that's how I do that. Let's take a look at this piston and rod real quick. Piston looks good. I just wiped it off, and you know, the brown, a lot of the brown just came right off of the piston, the dome, the top of the piston. But everything looks really good still. I mean, you can tell it's not the greatest quality, but everything's holding up well. Definitely a cast aluminum piston. Very thin. Just your normal side-to-side play on the wrist pin. But really no other movement, so that's good. Not side-to-side or up or down. So that's good. And I mean, again, we've only run this engine maybe a gallon and a half, a gallon and a quarter at the most. So let's check the tolerance on the Chingadero. Like that. Skirt always to the back. Try to hold it real still. Nothing. Still plenty tight. Yeah, it's still good. So we're still gonna keep running this. I'm impressed, man. We've spooled this thing out pretty good, but we're about to do it even more on a longer stretch. So let's see how much pinch we have real quick. We got a little oil in here. I don't like putting a dry piston. Let's look at this real quick before we get it wet. And you can see where the nickel plating is starting to come off. So it'll definitely need a new piston and sleeve at some point in the near future. See, when you get it originally, it's all shiny. The nickel plating is all shiny, and as it wears, goes up and down, up and down, up and down, depending upon if you get dirt or any debris in there. There's no scratches or gouges or anything. It's just wear on the nickel plating on the inside. But it's actually a really nice looking sleeve, man. It's tiny compared to what we're used to looking at. But it's good, man. See how much pinch we got. And we're getting there. Definitely getting there on the pinch. I mean, we still got really good compression. So I would say that this piston and sleeve is right in the sweet spot. They got there quick. Again, only a gallon and a quarter, a gallon and a half max. I'm gonna run this thing that much. You know, you go out and run this little tiny tank, man. I may run 2 or 3 tanks when I'm out there, and that's it. Piston and sleeve is good. This is the only thing that's modified in the actual internals of the engine. So take a look at that in just a second. We are running the 3.4 carburetor. Hang on a second, I'll be right back. Let me get the regular Traxxas carburetor. Alright, we got a couple of them here. One's brand new and one's pretty much brand new. Let's pull the brand new one out real quick. Alright, let's see what the difference is. And this one's a little bit dirty too. Need to clean it up. So they look very similar. Looks like the bowl's bigger. Looks like the carburetor as a whole is bigger. Even don't do that. These things are fragile, man. So even this part is different. It's bigger. You got a different high-speed needle. Your typical needle as you'd see on like a .21 or something. Short speed needle there. A little bit different needle there, like a mid-speed. This one, you basically can't see it at all. This is the stock one. This is the 3.4. So definitely a different needle, a longer needle, not a long needle all the way in, but about a midway. The other one's just barely poking out there. So definitely differences in these carburetors. Looks like the throat is thicker and more insulated. I do know this one is a little harder to get in, but I'm sure they're the same. Just seems harder. Yeah, they're the same, but the carburetors are different. This is a much bigger carburetor. There you go. So I still want to put the OS, I think it's K11 carburetor, if I'm not mistaken. But I do want to pick one of those up. You can get them. They're out there at eBay. They're 100 bucks. But I've had other fish to fry. But we may do that pretty soon. Alright, let's take a look at this back plate. This is the TRX 2.5 3.3 sealed back plate. You can still find these out there. It's really nice looking. You can see where the rod's been rubbing right there, just like the rest of them. Go like that. That. Weird looking cuts on the top of it there, but pretty cool, man. It's just cool in itself having a sealed back plate 3.3. Alright, let's get on into this. Let's get in the clutch real quick. So this is the Buku clutch. I'll post their information right here. You can go to their website. This is the brass 3-shoe adjustable clutch with the inserts. I don't know what the inserts are, if they're brass or some type of carbon. I'm not sure, but if you go on their site, it'll be able to tell you. You can see right here the adjustable springs, and we do need to adjust these, but I need to go back in and see which way the tension works. I mean, you can see the back here, push in, makes it tighter. Yep, I'm assuming further in makes it tighter. So we were too loose on the last run. We were getting too much slippage, not enough pop off the line. So I need to adjust that, but these still look really well, and I've had this in since the beginning when we were running it out here in front of the house. So these clutch shoes are still really good, really nice. I've marred it up, the flywheel, a little bit, but when you get the kit, it comes with everything. It comes with the shoes, the springs, the adjustable flywheel. It comes with the inserts. I'm using the brass insert rather than the bearing for the inside one here on the bell, like so. I mean, it's still a bearing, but it's a sealed brass bearing, a bushing, if you will. And then I'm gonna swap this one out. This was just a metal shielded bearing that I've been running there. This is a Traxxas vented bell. I don't know if it's a 20 or a 22. I don't know. Usually they're like 20, anywhere from like 18, 19 up to 22, something like that. It doesn't come with that though. It won't come with a bell or the bearings or anything. Like these three shims here, these three brass looking shims here. You get your collet and you get your Traxxas nut. So this is specific to the Traxxas 3.3. And then of course, you know, you got a E-clip on the end there. So Buku clutch, man, really badass. You also check them out. I mean, there's nothing wrong with the old school 2-shoe rubber band, all that type of stuff, or the spring, but I would much rather have this. I think they're about 50 or 60 bucks for the entire kit. So go check them out. They got a lot of other stuff as well. So all right, let's take a look at this crank real quick. So this is the modified crank by RC Renew. You can already look at it and tell that it's modified. All these cuts on here are by RCR. and it looks like he cut this entire side out over here. So let's take a look at the stock crank real quick. Take a look at the barrel first. Obviously stock here, RCR modified here. Tons of work on that thing, man. I'm telling you, this drop-in power right here is every bit worth the $100 that this thing costs. Hands down, man. Stock Traxxas, get it, brand new. Pull the old crank out, drop this one in, break it in, and go have a good time. 100%. All right, let's look at the timing window. So again, stock, RCR modified. You can see, you know, everything's symmetrical here. Here you can see where all this material's been taken out, all in that area right here. That window's been completely opened up. Looks like he did some work on the other side as well, but that's a huge difference right there. Look at this side right here, and then look at this side. It's crazy. Yep, that's why I talk a lot of good stuff about this, man. And anything that RCR does over there, his engine modifications, all that stuff, I've always been able to tell a difference. So a lot of the naysayers out there, you know, it's all in what you want. Are you just having fun? You just want to have fun a little bit, or you want to get in the hobby a little bit more? You know, if you're not going to race, we have to find other things to do to entertain us and to increase horsepower. It's just fun. It's cool. So I highly recommend it. 100%. Anything modified, 100%. Even for racers, for fuel economy, all your cuts on your sleeves and things like that, that's all done for fuel economy. And it helps. It works. I don't know if it's allowed in racing anymore, but it does work. So all right, people, it's been a long enough boring video, I know, but we're definitely going to get out and do some running this weekend. I am about to go ahead and get the FLM gear set for that, and the new pinion and gear, what do you call it, ring and pinion for the Savage. I do want to get this thing back rolling again. I got some big plans for it, and it's just, again, badass. That's 2 nitro engines right there, man. I wish they were modified, though. We may run across that later. 2 LRP .28s with Novarossi race carburetors, running 9mm Venturis. 2 Hypex pipes, 2 Hypex B5 headers, or maybe those are Novarossi 41032s. Yeah, both of them. They're actual Novarossis. All right, people, that's going to be about it. I appreciate y'all. Appreciate you checking out my version of the poor man's drag Jado. But go check out RC Renew, man. They have actual drag race engines, all that kind of stuff. These are the tires that I'm using on the drag Jado. They're belted. They're Pro Line Proxies. Painted them up. They're really great. They're a little heavy, man, but they send this thing. That's why I want to dial in this clutch with a little more pop, because we got a little too much drag with these heavy tires. But once this thing gets going in his second gear, the bearings and just the drivetrain on this thing are impeccable. It just sends down. So, and 50-50 chance that it's probably going to get crashed or something's going to break. That's just the way it goes, people. So I am ready to go on that. I am ready to go on the Techno M2C. I'm ready to go on all of them, actually. So I think this weekend probably a little fifth scale, but other than that, I appreciate y'all checking this out. Let me go help put the baby to bed, and we'll see y'all next weekend, man. Peace. Come on.